If you're in a leadership role or you're just trying to figure out what makes a great leader tick, you know how hard it can be to find um, the core ideas without digging through a mountain of business
Right.
books.
You want the good stuff fast.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into a book that tries to do just that. The Servant by James C. Hunter. It's a simple story about the true essence of leadership.
And it is a story, which is what makes it so different.
Yeah.
It's not some dry academic textbook. It's a framework, but it's all wrapped in this narrative.
So our mission today is to sort of strip away the story part, as good as it is, and get right down to the nuts and bolts.
The philosophy, and more importantly, the actionable steps you can take to move from that old school command and control style to something, well, more influential.
Absolutely, because Hunter's whole point is that so many of those traditional leadership styles just leave everyone feeling burnt out. The leaders feel isolated, the teams are disengaged.
And our listener needs that blueprint. The practical shift from just being a boss to, being a leader who actually builds people up.
So the book, it throws us right in, doesn't it? We meet this character, John Daly.
Oh, yeah, right away. And he's successful on paper, Great job, family, all of it.
But his life is, and this is a quote, spiraling out of control.
He's great at work, but it's not translating anywhere else. He's using the same demanding, power-based approach at home, and it's failing miserably.
Which is what leads him to this kind of desperate move. He checks himself into a week-long leadership retreat at a monastery, of all places.
Right. And his guide there, a monk named Simeon, that's who introduces him to this big, secret servant leadership.
And the definition hits you right in chapter 1. It's not a soft or weak idea.
Not at all. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's about putting the needs of your people first. It means creating an environment where loyalty and respect are things you have to earn.
They aren't just handed to you because you have the corner office.
Exactly. And that shift from demanding respect to earning it, that's really the foundation for everything that follows.
It's the whole difference between just having power over someone and having the authority that makes people want to follow you.
And that leads us perfectly into what Hunter calls the old paradigm. He really dismantles it in chapter 2.
The old paradigm. It's all about the top-down pyramid power control. It's the boss who, commands and just expects everyone to fall in line.
And it's designed to get compliance, sure, but what it really creates is fear, resentment. The team feels no ownership at all.
It's just not sustainable, is it? It relies on the leader constantly pushing, constantly forcing things.
Right. The minute you step away, the whole thing grinds to a halt because there's no internal motivation driving the team. It's all coercion.
But let's get into this key distinction he makes because it's a huge vocabulary shift for anyone trying to lead. Power versus authority.
Yes, this is so important.
Power is basically forcing people to do your will, using your title.
While authority is earning their respect so they follow you willingly, they're inspired to, not forced to.
Now, here's the tricky part for you, the listener. What if you're a new manager or there's a crisis? You haven't had time to build that trust. How do you lead then?
And the book doesn't say you just abandon all structure. It's not about that. It's about changing your motive.
Right. You might still have to give a tough, urgent direction, but a servant leader's motive is to serve the team, to clear the path for them.
Exactly. They aren't just barking orders to prove who's in charge. The old way focuses on what the employees have to do for the boss.
And the new way flips that. It focuses on how the leader can support the employees so they can do their best work. The whole dynamic it changes completely.
It's all about listening, empathizing, supporting.
Which brings us perfectly to the core model from chapter 3. This is where Simeon, the monk, shows John Daly the upside-down pyramid.
And this visual is it's central to the whole idea. Normally you have the CEO at the pointy top and orders flow down.
Hunter flips it completely.
In his model, the leader is at the top of an inverted pyramid. So they're at the bottom, really. And the people they serve, the customers, the team, are at the broad base above them.
So your job is structurally defined as supporting everyone else. You're literally the foundation holding everyone else up so they can succeed.
But what fuels this whole thing? I mean, what makes it work? Hunter uses a pretty profound term here.
He does. He calls it love and service, specifically agape love.
Now, in a business setting, that word agape, that can make people a little uncomfortable.
For sure. But we need to define it carefully. It's not about, emotion. It's a selfless, sacrificial love. It means putting the needs of others before your own.
And right away, leaders think, wait, Am I supposed to sacrifice profits for every single employee's needs?
And that's the tension. Hunter is clear it's not about financial martyrdom. It's about prioritizing the long-term growth of your people over your own ego or your own short-term convenience.
So you're sacrificing your need to be right or your desire for all the credit.
Exactly, or the comfort of just telling people what to do. You sacrifice that for the good of the team. That's a practical idea.
It is. And from that core motivation, that agape motivation, you get the 4 pillars of servant leadership. These are the principles that turn the idea into action.
This is the blueprint for the listener, so let's break them down. They are respect, responsibility, caring, and integrity.
Okay, let's start with respect. This isn't just about being polite. It's treating people like they are valuable, period.
So in practice, that's active listening, not interrupting, actually trying to understand where they're coming from, even if you don't agree.
Right. And then you have responsibility. This is huge for trust. It means the leader owns the team's failures.
They don't point fingers. The first question is, what did I fail to provide them?
Exactly. They take the blame, but they give away the credit. Then comes caring, which is agape in action. It's seeing your team as whole people, not just, resources.
Do you know what their goals are? Are you helping them grow? Do you care about their well-being, not just their output? That's what builds real loyalty.
And finally, integrity, the bedrock. And Hunter defines it as consistency. You have to walk the talk.
If you say you value transparency, you have to be transparent even when the news is bad.
It's those small, consistent acts of integrity that make that whole upside-down pyramid stable. It's how you earn the authority to lead.
Which is why Chapter 4 is so brilliantly titled The Verb. Because this isn't something you are, it's something you do. It's a constant, active process.
That's the key. So many people like the idea of servant leadership, but they don't do the work. It's about active listening, empathizing, and being truly committed to your team's growth.
Let's talk about that listening piece. Hunter says it has to be deep, focused listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk.
And empathy isn't just understanding their words, it's understanding the feeling behind the words.
Yeah.
That's often where the real message is.
And the commitment to growth has to be real. Are you clearing roadblocks for them? Are you investing in their skills, even if it means they might outgrow their role?
Right, and you have to play the long game. Trust is built through consistent actions over time. You can't just do it once and expect everything to change.
That consistency is what separates the real thing from just, empty management buzzwords.
That's what turns a nice idea into the actual culture of the team.
So that brings us to the environment this all creates. Chapter 5 is called The Environment, and it's about the leader's main job being cultivation.
Yes, cultivation. Like a gardener. The servant leader's job is to create a space where people feel safe, valued, and motivated.
And that word safe is so important. We're talking about psychological safety.
The feeling that you can take a risk or admit a mistake or even give your boss honest feedback without fear of being punished.
That is the engine of innovation. Every company wants it, but very few actually build it.
And it's built directly from the leader's consistency and integrity, those pillars in action. You have to explicitly show people you value them.
How do you do that? What are some concrete examples?
Well, beyond just listening, it's acknowledging their contributions publicly. It's treating them with kindness, even during a tough performance review. It's giving them the tools and the mentorship they need to grow.
It sounds like the servant leader spends less time telling people what to do and more time equipping them and shielding them.
Exactly. Shielding them from bureaucracy or corporate nonsense so they can just focus on doing great work.
This all leads up to Chapter 6, the choice. The idea that leadership isn't a title you get, it's a choice you make moment by moment.
The actions have to be intentional. John Daly learned that his title of boss meant nothing for his failing marriage or his unhappy team.
He had to consciously choose to act differently, to serve them, even when it felt totally unnatural at first.
And again, responsibility is key here, taking responsibility for those choices and their outcomes.
We talk about consistency, but it's consistency in making that choice.
Yes. When you consistently choose integrity, empathy, and service, you slowly but surely earn that respect and loyalty. You move from demanding obedience to inspiring followership.
And that creates this powerful feedback loop. The right choices lead to consistent actions, which builds trust. And that trust is what gives you real authority.
Which brings us to the final part, Chapter 7, the payoff. After John Daly puts in all this hard work, sacrificing his ego, living the pillars, making those choices, he starts to see huge changes.
Everywhere, right? At work and at home.
Everywhere. The transformative power becomes clear. By focusing on serving others, he creates this environment of growth and trust, and that leads directly to better business results.
The team is suddenly invested. They aren't just punching the clock.
And Hunter points out the payoff is twofold. It's not just sustainable business success, it's personal fulfillment.
He actually finds joy in helping other people succeed.
Wow.
It fixes the very thing that sent him to the monastery in the first place.
It's the big paradox. By focusing on others, the leader actually gains more loyalty, more impact, and, more personal happiness.
The focus shifts from just transactions to actual transformation.
So to recap this whole deep dive, we've moved from that old paradigm of power and control
to a new paradigm built on this idea of sacrificial agape love, which is supported by the 4 pillars: respect, responsibility, caring, and integrity.
And it's not a state of being, it's a constant verb, an intentional action to lead with empathy and a commitment to serve.
It's a reminder that leadership isn't something you are, it's something you do. The success that follows is just the natural result of putting your people first.
Okay, so here's the thought we want to leave you with. It builds on that core tension we talked about earlier.
Right. If servant leadership really depends on this idea of selfless, sacrificial love, what do you do when 2 critical needs are in direct conflict?
For example, your best employee is going through a personal tragedy and desperately needs time off, but your entire quarterly target depends on them being there to finish a project.
Or, to put an even finer point on it, when the cost of that ethical sacrifice feels truly unsustainable in a cutthroat, results-driven business world, where do you draw the line?
Where does serving the employee end and serving your duty to the organization begin?
That's the complex reality that you, the listener, have to navigate as you try to apply these principles. And that's something to reflect on as you decide what choice you'll make in your very next leadership action.